The latest Quinnipiac University survey, former President Trump holds a 29-point lead over Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, 54% to 25%. All other candidates poll under 5%.
Well, I wonder how that's going to work out in the general election.
In a hypothetical 2024 general election matchup against President Joe Biden, the poll shows Biden ahead of Trump by 5 points, 49% to 44%. This survey was conducted just before Trump announced the news of his possible third indictment.
Maura, they just can't help themselves. They really just can't help themselves. They would rather lose with Donald Trump than win with somebody else.
It's pretty stunning. You would also like to see some political courage, right? I mean, you want to... I mean, it's nice to see Chris Christie out there, but he's looking pretty lonely. Asa Hutchinson, too. It's a lonely game, and, you know, somebody's got to try and break that fever, as Willie was talking about, you know, earlier this hour. You have to give some political leadership to say, there's another way to win. In fact, we're not going to win. We're probably going to lose again. But yet they can't quite seem to quit him. So I don't get it. I mean, the only thing that I will say here is there is another element here, which is these voters. I mean, we have to be able to be honest about this. Yeah. Voters are still deeply invested in Donald Trump, and alternatives haven't seemed to interest that part of the party. And, you know, I think it's okay at this point to ask why that is. Of course, you know, things could change. Things could change, but it's hard to see. I mean, Donald Trump, when you're being accused by a judge of rape and it just does nothing, the polls just kind of, you know, blink and keep carrying on. You have to wonder, you know, I mean, this is a cult. So what will change this for these voters?
Well, evangelicals, I mean, they'll just ignore all of this. The same evangelicals who would come up to me and be so shocked and stunned and deeply saddened that we immediately didn't yank Bill Clinton out of office, saying you must be a moral man to be president of the United States. And you know, when character was king, you know, people running around doing things, saying things like that, looking to the good old days when people weren't like Bill Clinton and Bill Bennett writing his book of virtues. Now, just another hack defending Donald Trump and going to the wall. Charlie Sykes, it's crazy. I will say this, Charlie, and I've talked about it on the show some. My family members, my friends, the people that had no problem telling me, even when Donald Trump was calling me a murderer, who voted for Trump in 16, who voted for Trump in 20, they're done with him. I hear it time, and it's anecdotal. And I always hear, don't ever believe anecdotal evidence. I will tell you on the campaign trail, when you start hearing something, you can believe it because it just time and time again. But I'm hearing this. That's why I still am a little surprised that Trump's numbers are staying so high, because everybody I know that voted for him in 16 and 20, and especially in suburbs, say we can't stand him. We're so exhausted by him. And by the way, we don't want to lose to Joe Biden again. I'm starting to hear that more and more with a quickening pace. I'm not exactly sure, though, how those numbers are still holding up. I'm curious what your experience is.
Well, first of all, I think it's shocking that you didn't mention that the Milwaukee Brewers are leading the NL Central, and they're 10 games ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals, and they have a record of 7-3 in the last 10 games. So I just wanted to lay that out there.
The NL Central, is that a hockey league? What?
See, this is the problem with you coastal elites. You know, there's baseball here in the heartland as well. We go. I just want to point this out. You know, and just look up the 1957 World Series. I'm just laying that out here. Okay, so in terms of Donald Trump, look, people may be disgusted about all of this, but this fever is not breaking. I think you look at these poll numbers, and you know, tomorrow I think a lot of these voters have become so deeply invested that the sunken cost of rationalizing Donald Trump has taken its toll. There appears to be no willingness on the part of the Republican establishment, to the extent there is one, to take him on, with the exception of people like Chris Christie. So I think that we know where they're going. Now, the crazy pill aspect of this is that I think, intelligent Republican will tell you that 2024 is their election to lose. You look at Joe Biden's poll numbers, he ought to be much more vulnerable. To be 5 points behind Joe Biden right now with his approval rating where it is an extraordinary moment. Virtually any other Republican candidate would, I think, be considered the favorite in this election. So it's not just the matter that this is a cult. It has become a politically irrational cult where the Republicans, in fact, are snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And this could cost them the Senate, the House. It's already cost them governorships and legislatures around the country. But even so, I mean, how do you get out of this? I mean, how does the Republican Party get out of the tailspin when you have defended and accepted and rationalized everything? How do you turn around and go, hey, do we have one of those old Bill Bennett books about character around? Maybe we got to dust it off. I mean, that's gone, that era, and it's not coming back. Even if Donald Trump disappeared tomorrow, this party is not going back to basically saying character is king, right? We have to take these things seriously. That's done.